All right, last time we set up the basis of our quest system with the NPC, so that way we can at least start doing quests through Bob here, or whatever you want to call him. Right after you do that, we do have a couple fixes that we want to start, and then we will get into creating the door assets, so that way we can get into animations with a sequence here. I don't think I have a sequence here, but I am going to trying to organize this into different things. So I'm going to grab all these here in our outliner, put them into a folder. We'll call game mechanics. Right, and then these ones here, the blocks here, this will be part of the level along with the floor. The grapple tower. No, the grapple target is mechanic. There we go. Level. There we go. Tidy up our scene. That way we have it a little easier in the section for selecting things. Next up, I don't see a sequencer, so I'm going to probably get away with I don't remember setting this up, but I can probably delete that. Yep, so I can delete that as well. Is this? So there we are. We'll come back there. I'm going to leave the sequence folder because I'm going to be making a sequence eventually a bit later. But before then, we want to get set up, right? So under the meshes folder, right, we went in modeling mode last time. Now I went and made inside Maya a handy dandy. Oh, can we get the stone door? Oh, sure. There we go. There we are. Right. I'm gonna use pipeline defaults to reset any settings I might have had beforehand, as I don't need to have any other things changed, and I should be able to hit import. Now it brings in obviously the stone here, which I'm going to replace with our. If I go into under levels, I can probably find material. No, materials. Right. I can find the grid itself. Right, with that selected, I'll go back up into my mesh folders, because we also want to open up our static mesh, which is on another screen. 1 second, guys. I'll close that menu for right now. I will click that to, oh, let's see here. It looks like I already have the effects in here, so I'll also have to show you where that is. Looks like I butchered my project a little, but that's okay. Let's see here. So I was looking for, under blueprints, we were looking for, no, not blueprints. We were looking for the level prototype, materials, grab our grid material. I'm just going to slot that in there. All right. Now, what I'm actually going to do is right click and create a child, and this can be mi doorway. All right, the reason why I'm doing that is because now I can drag that there, double click this guy, and then we can open up the properties, and I can be like, actually, can I, if I drag that in there, does that allow me to, yeah, no. It's part of the blueprint, right? So if I look in the here, I can actually go to albedo, no, color, there we are. Surface color, and I'm just going to change this to like a tealish color, right? Yeah, more of a tealish green, right? Making it like a earthy gate that we're going to eventually have pop out. Now, this gate here, we do need to look at its collision first, because if we don't look at its collision first, we're going to see that, well, our player can't really walk through it. All right, if I were to drag this in here and try to walk through the archway, I'm been stopped by our big fat wall of invisibleness. So we need to regenerate our collision. I could have made it in Maya, but I wanted to show you guys quickly how to generate some stuff here right now. Anytime we create a new one, you want to first obviously remove collision, right? And then we can then, now we can try out these different ones, but you'll notice that they aren't quite what we want. Obviously box isn't what we need. That's why I didn't choose it, but we have different settings with DPI, but it's still gonna regardless give us a box, right? We need the auto convex, convert auto convex collision here, sorry. And I find I'm going to need to at least up my hull count to 10, and then I usually up my precision, because ultimately the hull precision is what will allow us to get a better, closer bake to our mesh, right? And then when I hit bake, you'll notice it does have a little overlap there, which is fine. I can try a little higher and see how well that goes. Right, and then that actually looks a little better, right? We're looking for the green lines that appear here, right? And if you don't see the green lines, you want to make sure it's shown there, right? Now, if I were to save this, I can actually now hit play. We've got that. Perfect. All right. Doorway. Get rid of the word FBX. I don't need the word FBX there. Where'd my? There we go. Now that we've got that, we can delete that here. We're going to make a blueprint, but before we do the blueprint, we also want to make a Niagara effect, right? So what I'm going to do is just make sure I pop up my example over here, right? So we're going to come up here to our folder. We're going to create a new folder called Niagara. No, I already have that. There. Niagara. Don't seem right. I'll just copy this over here. Yeah. Oh, no. Either way. Let's see. We want to right click and create a Niagara system. Now I like to use a simple burst sprite to start us off for the type of emitter, right? So we can even just go lightweight, learning, timetables. We'll just go all, and then you just look for simple, simple explosion, simple, sprite system, no, simple sprite burst. There we go. Right. And then we're going to call this NF for Niagara system, or NS. And then we're going to say portal. Right. Oops. Fat fingering on the wrong place here. Portal. Right. There we go. Double click that guy open. All right. Well, Mike, this little dot here doesn't look anything like a portal. Well, we're going to fix that. Right. So first off, we're going to actually check the emitter state. I'm going to make sure that we set this to system, right? Because we want the system to decide that it is infinite and has an infinite loop of that, and we can control other things eventually from there. All right. Now, I like to change my instantaneously burst to spawn rate, so I'm going to delete that from the emitter. Now, thing about particles, just to kind of refresher, right? They work their way down. The emitter spawn happens once. We hardly put anything in there. Emitter update, again, happens a little more often, right? Then particle spawn happens once, and then update happens over the lifetime of the particle, right? And then render obviously is the main focus of we're using a sprite render for our typical particle effect. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I want to add a spawn rate, which we should see here, right? This will allow us to have like a spawn rate system. And I'm just going to set mine to roughly around, I'm going to say 5,000 or 6,000, right? It's going to get real bright because we have, right now it's an additive material for the sprite render, right? Default sprite material is a additive type translucency, right? Now, spawn rate we've added there. Right now, we want to actually spread this around, so we need a shape location under the particle system where we want things to spawn, right? So if we type in the word shape, right, we can actually get a location, right? So this is where we're going to spread out what we're actually spawning, right? So if I come over here, I can set this from, you know, if I want a circle one, I could do like a torus, right? And then we'd see that it's like that, right? A ring like that. And then you could change the things. In my case, I'm looking for more like a box. Especially since that's what we're kind of going with, right? And I'm obviously going to do a plane because I don't want it as a full box. We only need to have it fit in between the door when we put it in there, right? Now, I know my dimensions of my door, so that way I can actually type, you know, 260 here for the Y, for the height, and then for my width, I can put 120. That way it fits nicely in there. Now, plane midpoint, right? So this is kind of like where it actually has the pivot point. I'm going to leave it in the center, which is perfectly fine, right? Now, that's great, but this door looks kind of plain, so we want to add, you know, a little more functionality to this. I'm going to add in under the particle spawn system. I'm looking for vortex force. Now it's going to give me an error because we are missing a specific module, right? When I click it, it says add initial force, right? And then you'll see now we've got a really good, you know, initial force, but it also added in the solve force velocity down below as well, right? Which was necessary for us, right? Now, under the vortex, I am going to set this down to 20 because I don't want it spreading too far, right? And then I'm just checking here. Perfect, right? And then add apply force. I don't need to change anything there, right? Now, particle state we can leave, but I am going to get rid of the scale color because I don't want that. We're actually going to come up here to the initial, or not the spawn rate, the initial parameters, right? We can actually come up here and swap these out. Now, what I want to do is change the lifetime to random, right? So then that way, then I can randomize it between 0.5 of a second to roughly, I'm going to do 2. But I'm also going to do random range, right? Or colors, right? So I'm going to pick a nice like teal blue, right? But then I'm also going to crank that number. So if I hit OK, and we can even come over here, right? We can, you know, teal, I can leave those there. But the blue, I need to crank that up to a higher number. I'm going to put that like 50, right? There we go. We got like a nice portal shine, right? Then I'm going to come over here, right? And I'll pick like a purpley, no, we'll do like a reddish there, right? And then I'll open this up. That way I can just type over here. I'm going to do 50 for the red as well, right? There we go, right? Let's do something 0.2 on green. Even just drag. Yeah, we'll do 0.02. See here. What I can. I want more there. As long as I have 50 in the red, we're fine there. I can dump that back down. But either way, I'm happy with that, right? We're gonna. It's a little overpowering, actually. I might go back a little more to closer to the blue and purple, right? There we go. Let's see here. Alpha is there. I can do 50 in the blue, so I can do 1. I'll do 0.6 there, and then we'll do under here 0.7 or so. Right, that way we're right there. Right. So we got our max life there, right? Now, I also want to come down here for uniform because we have way too big of a size for our particle, right? We can do random non-uniform, right? And then we can then set something like for the min and max to be like 2 like scale size and then max 10, right? So then we got something like that. There we go. Right, now we're getting there, right? No, we can even up it to 3 if we wanted to. I'm just playing around, right? Having some fun with our particle, right? Now, we do need to actually come along here and add a scale sprite size. We're looking for, right? Scale by sprite size. And what we want to do is swap this so that way it fades out kind of. Right now it starts faded in, fades in, which kind of looks cool, but we wanted to start out big and then make its way smaller as it gets out further, right? So I'm going to use the templates here to reverse our thing, right? Just like that. But I'm also going to right click here, or left click and drag to get in marquees, and right click and set that to auto. I could technically hit the key 1 and it would do it automatically for me for adjusting the keys, right? And then last but least, what I'm going to do is add in a little bit of collision. Collision for our thing, all right? And then what I want to change is the bounce to 0.1. Like that, right there, and that is our portal, right? I can even rename this portal, right? Yeah, you could take it a step forward if you wanted to, and eventually do render textures from like the scene that you're going to and things like that. But in our case, we're just going to use a very simple portal Niagara effect, right? So now that we've set that up, we want to set up the door blueprint itself, right? So I can close that guy there, right here, and we are going to right click and do a blueprint of level door, right? So blueprint, well, not of level door, but of type actor, right? BP underscore level doorway. Do I not? Oh, did I already make? Right. I'm gonna delete the old one because, yeah, I don't know what I was doing there, but and then I will fix the spelling. There we go. Let's see here, door, level door. There we go. All right. To start us off, right? Obviously, we want to have. I'm going to actually want to add. Show you guys quickly, right? We're going to go to Fab, right? We're going to go to VFX. We're going to turn pricing off. Pricing, make sure it's free, right? And then this is where you can find some free, cool special effects. But the main one we're looking for is not that one, volume 2, right here. This one here. This one has the. Go ahead and add that. I've already added this one to my one realistic starter VFX pack 2 to my scene. The reason why is it has a smoke particle that we're going to use, smoke particle C, right? So if I were to actually navigate there really quickly, right? We go into the particles, we find smoke, and I grab C really quickly, right? It looks like, something's rumbling underneath the ground, right? We're going to use this particle to activate, hey, we are raising out of the ground a doorway out of the ground. Now, to do that, I'm going back in here, right? We're going to add a particle. Let's see here. This one is a cascade system, right? So I'm going to, since I had it selected, it automatically already brought it in here, right? Which is awesome, right? So having it selected by all means was good, right? Now, I do want to turn the activation off, right? So if you type active, there we go. No. How about auto? Auto. There we go. Auto activate. There we are. Right. We want to turn that off. There. Now, once we turn that off, it won't automatically activate. All right. Now we want to add in our static mesh. Static mesh. Now, this is going to be the door mesh. All right. So then we can slot in SM underscore door. Stone doorway, right? It's supposed to be a stone doorway, right? Well, not very stone-like. Now, under the doorway, I'm going to, with it selected, we want to add our Niagara effect, right? So, again, I can actually come all the way to our Niagara system folder, which should be in our blueprint section right here. Find our Niagara, grab our portal. In fact, I can even just drag and drop it on top of there, right? And then again, I'll rotate in the wrong thing. Let's attach this to the root particle. No, Niagara portal to there. There we go. There we are. Rotate it. Pull it up. There we go. Right. And again, we're going to look for activate. You know what? Start with no. And did they change it? Oh, it'd help if I actually had the right thing. No wonder why I couldn't find it. There we go. Right. So auto activate. We want to turn off the door. Right. So we turned off the door. Now, ultimately, we're going to come back to that. Right. So right now we want to, now that we've got the door, the portal, and that in there, I'm also going to add in a audio source. Source right here. Play this on the door itself because that's where I want it. In fact, I can even put it on the portal because that's where it's going to be. Now, on with the day, we're also going to come up here and go into our blueprints folder, or our main project folder, make a audio folder. Audio. There we go. And I'll minimize this again. You'll find that you can download 3 waves from the day activities, right? We've got ground rumble, we've got the teleport loop, and the teleporter, right? Let's see here. I'm going to see routing. Can I? Assuming this is set already to capture, but I'm going to see. No. If I put game, is that? Let's see here. Right here, properties. Let's see. Broadcast. Sorry if I just blasted you with music. Yeah. Sorry. Second here. let's see here. I'm going to put that at 50%, or no, we'll make it lower for you guys, and I'll turn it up for mine so at least I can hear it match there. Since I can now control it, hopefully that's a little better for you guys. All right, and we can now. Let's see, I might have turned it down a little too much. Yeah, there we go. That's a little better. All right. Obviously it might be a little low for you, but that's okay. I'd rather not kill your ears. All right. Now, while we're here, we're also going to want to create an attenuation radius for the teleporter, right? Let's see here. Oh, I want that up here. So while we're here, we'll right click, go to audio, and then we can create an attenuation radius, right? So SFX, teleporter. Now this sound effects teleporter is what I'm calling it. I'm then going to want to set, this is mainly where the distance is. I'm going to set mine to 600 for like the inner radius, like how close we have to be to hear it. And then you can tweak these numbers as you see fit. I'm just going to set mine outer to like 12,000, right? So a little closer to the deal, right? And basically that's how close it'll be. In fact, I'll probably do mine down to 500, right? And I'll hit save, right? So now I can go back to our blueprint door under attenuation, do the teleporter sound effect. And then what I'm going to do is actually look for, under our audio, I want the teleporter loop, right? I'm going to double click in it. I want to make sure that I turn looping on, as that is a loop. The other ones I'm not going to be looping. And then I can come back over here. Under the door, go to our sounds, plug it in here. There we go, right? Now, I do also want to make sure that we also don't start this right away. So you can scroll down for auto activate right there. Turn that off as well, right? There we go. We've got that all set up. Now, let's see here. What we are going to do now is hop into our event graph, right? This is where we're going to now create the events for our door, right? So now that we've set all that up, let's see here. Right. So what I'm going to do is go into our viewport. We're going to look at our door, look at our transform, and see that it's currently set to 0, 0, right? If I scrub that down so that way, if I even technically change our perspective to the front, right, I can see that right now this is now below the door area, right? 110 is preferably where I want, right? So that's perfect. In fact, I'm going to leave that there, but I'm also going to copy the 110, right? And then I'm going to change back to the perspective, because that is where I want our door to start on our thing, right? Now, I'm going to create what's known as a custom event called, reveal door, right? Or start reveal door. Start reveal door. Right. Now, I'm going to drag in our static mesh. We want to set relative location. Right, and I'm going to do a lerp for the vector, right? So object A is going to be the starting location, and object B is going to be the other one, right? But we're also going to duplicate this, right? And then I am going to do is make sure that stays 0. Off of begin play, right, we should create a simple Boolean B. We'll just type, or not B, we'll just do is quest door, right? And then I am going to branch that. Oops. Didn't mean to add more B's to there. It's fine. No one's going to really see it, right? And if it is quest, by default, I'm not going to have it on. But if if it is not a quest store, in fact, actually, yeah, by default, that's what I will do, right? And then I'm going to create a functionality that will activate all the necessary particle effects, right? In fact, let's quickly do that now, right? So before we get into the timeline in that, we will create another custom event called activate portal, right? So what we need to do is make sure that the portal, not that one, this one here is set active, right? We're going to activate it. That's the main one. Let's see here. And then I can, let's see. Activate. Okay, so that does it once, right? So what I'm going to do is get our actor's location. Get actor. Get our actor's location. Right. We're going to play sound at location. Play sound at location. Right, and we'll plug this in. I'm also going to make sure that we plug in the attenuation radius down here, right? Since we only have one, that's perfectly fine, right? I can then, teleport start. We can slug that in here, right? That's going to be the start, right? Then, what I want to do is grab this one. We're also going to grab our door and add a box collision call it trigger zone. Trigger. Zone. Right. Now, if I go to the viewport, this one I am going to zero that out. I'm going to max it up here. I'm going to set it to roughly the door width. We'll set that to 60 to round it out. I believe, no, it's this one. I want to raise it up. I'll make it 120. A little, right? Main point here is then I can put this down to 10. Perfect. This is going to be where eventually the player will be there, right? Now, I'm going to drag this in, and we are going to set collision, enable, right? And we want to set this to query, and then physics only, right? I do want to turn it off actually at the top. Let's see here. So up here, right? If it is quest door, we can turn it off. Let's see here. Or yeah, it's perfectly fine. Yeah, and then worst case scenario, yeah. And then obviously I want to drag in our activate portal down here. Because again, if this is the, quest door, then we're going to turn off the collision. We eventually can add in a few other checks as we need be. But for right now, that'll do. So we've turned off the collision. We turn on the collision. Gonna leave it on by default, which is fine. But we do need to then add in a delay of like point, we'll say, let's see here. Pretty sure 1.2. So if I did like 1.2, so let's just say 1.2 ish, give or take, right? On the delay, we want to set active, right? And then we're going to turn that on. So that way it starts the portal like loop, right? That way it'll stay looping. Perfect. All right. So now we got that, right? We'll come back to the on trigger for our doorway afterwards. In fact, I'm not going to even bother getting it, but we want to make sure that we have some form of timeline in here to start us off, right? So starting off, right, I'm going to drag in the smoke particle and say set active or activate. There we go. That's right, because we want to activate the smoke, right? There we go. Now, I want to grab a timeline. Timeline. Or add timeline. There we go. Right. This is going to be door reveal. Revealed. We want to always play from the start for this one, because again, it's only going to happen once anyway. All right, we're going to double click on here and make a track called progress. Progress, right, and then right click here to add right click again and add another keyframe. Select the first one, put it to 0. The second one I'm going to do roughly around, I'm going to say 4. Oh wait, no, value, no, sorry. Time is going to be 4, value is going to be 1. There we go. And then the first value is going to be 0 and 0. Hit enter, zoom out some with the mouse wheel, right? And then I can grab this guy over here. I'm going to do right click on him. Hit 1 for auto. But I'm also going to do is we're going to add another key point. Now this one I'm going to again do user. Reason why is because I'm going to bring it up here and then have it kind of just go up above and then back down, right? Just a little extra thing. I'm going to set my length to 4 seconds long, right? Oops. Hit enter and we compile, right? So again, I have 4 seconds, but I'm also going to start the sound effects. Now, if we look at the ground rumble, I have roughly 6.4 seconds, of the ground rumbling, which we're going to use in sequencer. There we go. So back to the door itself. So if we go to the event graph, right under here, I can plug this into the alpha of our lerp. Right, and then that way, while the timeline is updating, we update the door mesh's position slowly, right? And then meanwhile, that smoke will be billowing, right? Now, obviously, we want to then duplicate on completion because we want to deactivate. Just like that. There we go. Hit Q to organize that a little better, right? Then I'm going to hold down D to add in a bit of a delay here. Right. And then I'm going to call our activate portal because that should also be called right afterwards, right? All right. So with these simple sections, right, we got at least the start of our section. We're going to come back here when we get into the door and adding in the quest ability eventually. But for right now, we're just setting it up so that way we can get our animation going. Now, that's it for today, for this one. Moving into the next video, we'll get into actually setting up the sequencer and make the level sequence itself, and then show you how to at least get it playing. And then the next one after that will be getting into the finishing up the quests and transferring to the next level. All right, so we're going to now set up the area so that we can get our camera and start recording, right? We're going to need some walls and things like that. So close up the demo area, go to level prototype, grab our level block, because I'm going to make sure I use level color versus off. Set this to like a greeny color. Right, and then I can scale this guy up. I can go something like this. Get nice and tall. Duplicate it over here. I'll put it back some. Get taller again. Give it the illusion that we've got, you know, some form of area here. And this is where I'll also eventually plug in my doorway. And for now, I'll just duplicate that over here. Put this guy over here just to contain us. Right, and then we'll come over to our blueprints. We'll grab, oh no, blueprints are blueprints, not the regular ones. And then we'll grab our door, right? And then my door is going to be underneath, as you can kind of see it there, right? Which is perfect, right? I'm going to also, I want to get this bigger because I want to drag and drop these blocks here into the level, right? That way I have access to the door blueprint, as that's what I'm going to need, right? All right. So now I'm going to go into our sequence folder that I made earlier, right? And we're going to come up here and go to add level sequence, and this will be door reveal. Door reveal. And then I'm going to save. Did save it in the right area, right? Shoot. Try that again. Actually, I can find it. I put it in the wrong one. Move that here. All right. But sequence opens up this handy dandy section here. This is where we're going to see that we got a nice sequence object here inside our scene now. Doesn't matter where it is. The main point is we need to get a camera, right? So what we want to do is look up here, look under for cinematics. You can grab a cinematic camera actor, right? That is what we want there. And we want to click add, and technically I'm just going to drag and drop that here. So that way we get the cinematic camera. Now, as you can see, we automatically are already piling in it, right? Now I'm going to put my camera close over here to the target and this guy, right? This is going to be kind of where I want to start our camera, right? So if I now click off of this blue thing, right? I'm now not piling it, but I at least have it there, right? That way I know where I want to start. Eventually I want it to move all the way over here, right? So I'm going to repile it, right? So we've got the timeline. You can hold left and scrub along it, right? Currently, right now, mine shows in frames, right? We can actually come up here under here and say show time as. You can do frames or you can do seconds. If I did seconds, at least then we can kind of see what we're getting with, right? And we can see I need to hold the control and the mouse wheel to zoom out to get this closer to my 7.5 seconds for our sound effect, right? Which is going to be played once we start getting into it. So now that we've got that there, right, I can also drag this guy out. Right. Now, in fact, I might make mine just 8 seconds overall because I want to have a little bit of room in beginning and end. Now, currently, in fact, I'm going to get the actual animation, right? So I will start at roughly 30 seconds, right? I'm going to pilot our thing, right? I'm going to come down here and key the animation for the frame here. I can turn on auto key, right? And then as long as I can find a good spot here, right? I'm going to probably make it right around like the, let's see here, 1 minute mark. No, be right around the 2 minute mark, sorry. Right, so if I put it around to the 2 minute mark, right, pilot our thing here. I want to get as close as I can while also keeping in mind so I can always come back here and fix this, right? And in fact, I'm trying to get this to 180. There we go. Then zero out that one at least. I might round this to like 10. Or no, I'll round it down to, whoa, not 50. Let's just zero it out. That way it's nice and flat and even, right? I'm going to turn off the auto keyframe, right? So now we can see that I go from one area to the next, right? Now, I might have to come back here and re-keyframe this after we see where the door kind of appears once it starts moving up, right? I could, yes, probably see it if I did that and then hit simulate. Except for I then want to no. Alright, that's fine. I'll wait till we get there. Because you can kind of see it down there. But if I did it in the, actually, let's just go back to our door. No, I won't do that there. I'll leave it on the begin play. If I moved it to construction, we don't need to do that there. All right. So I've got my time frame started, right? Well, this is now where we want to add our door actor, right? So I'm going to grab our door, I'm going to drag this guy in here, right? So that way we get our door actor in here, right? Now, I am going to move the door actor to be right in here all the way, right? Because again, ultimately I want to see here. Did it not key the frame? Oh, I see. I don't want that all the way over there. I want that down to 2 minutes. I didn't mean to move that there. There we go. At the 2-minute marker, right? This is where our door is going to come in. I didn't mean to move that. Oh, I see. When I pulled, I gotcha. I pulled the wrong actor, right? So what we want to do on the door, we want to make what's known as a animation event, right? So what we want to do is do a vent, and we want to add a trigger, right? Trigger event. What I'm going to do is key that frame right there, right? So what that's going to do is add a event there, right? If I now right click on that event, we can go to its properties and see that it's unbound, right? Well, if I go in here now, I can go create a new binding, right? The reason why is it now has access to our door here, right? So I can drag off this blueprint and look for start reveal door, and it will run that functionality, right? So that's how we can fire that off. Now I'm going to save this. This is a blueprint tied to our sequence, right? So now, if I now pilot our thing, I click simulate and repilot, and then I hit play, right? We're going to then see that that's not how I wanted it. Go back to my door. We're going to stop simulating. We're going here. Auto activate. When do we activate this one? We activate this one. Then is portal activate. Activate portal. Let's see here. Deactivate, and then we activate the portal there. We turn on the smoke. Oh. I see what I did wrong. But for some reason, it didn't set the door part. I see. Right. So I got to make sure that I come along here, grab this guy. I need to, hidden game. Oh, right. Make this visible. There we go. And then now if I select the door, unlocked by quest, use quest door, right? That was why mine was activated beforehand. Right, so now if I hit simulate, I can now pilot that camera again. All right, and then if I hit play, there we go, right? Something along those lines. Perfect. I'm going to stop simulating. Now, what we want to do is we also want to add a track here for audio, right? So we can come up here, look for, nope, this one, add track, and then we can look for audio. Let's see here, is it under here? Audio, right? I can play sound, and I would look for ground rumble. Oops. Ground rumble, right? Oh. There we go. Right. Now I'm going to drag this in. I'm going to put it at the start, roughly around there, right? Because that should hopefully line up with our section there. So if I now playtest, gets a little louder, stops rumbling, and so forth. Maybe I'll have to turn down the pitch or the volume on the other one. But, you know, I could probably also turn up the volume of our other one. But I think it's because my volume for the game is currently low. But we'll go with that. Now, this is all fine and dandy, but we want to add a camera shake. Now, the camera does have a shake section, right? So if we look under here and look for camera shake, was it that one or this one? I think it's this one. Oops. Try that again. Camera shake, and then right now we don't have an asset, right? So what we want to do is go back to our browser, right? We want to go to the scenes here and right click and look for blueprint. You want camera shake. Camera shake, and we want right here, camera shake base. Yeah. Right, and I'll just call this BB camera shake, and then, except for I don't want that H to be a capital. There we go. All right. Now, inside here, we have multitude of options. I'm going to pick the most simplest, which is the Perlin noise. The reason why is it gives us the best like parameters that are easy to see what's going on, right? So obviously we have blend in and blend out time, and then we also have the duration. I'm going to set mine to 4 seconds, right? Since I want it to roughly be there. I might up the blend in and blend out time to like 0.4, right? To be a little more there, but we do need to set our amplitude rotation here. I'm going to put mine to like at 0.4 to start us off. Actually, I'll put 1 just so you guys can see it, right? And then we'll go back over here, sequence, and then now I can click on here. I can go look for camera shake, find my camera shake, plug that in, drag this back roughly around here, right? And then if I were to pilot our, do the simulate first, then pilot our camera, and then come over here. Oh, I didn't pilot the camera. You can see the camera shakes very, very heavy, right? You know, especially if I were to drag that along there, right? I didn't even need to simulate for that one. That way it won't fire the gameplay event, right? I could just hit play here without simulating, and I can see, as long as I'm, you know, how drastic it is. You know, you can go back and forth, right? And I could do like 0.4, right? Try to make it a little more subtle, right? As if the ground is rumbling, right? And then you can see it's a little more, a little closer. And I might just do, you know, let's do 0.2. There we go. Try to make it a little more subtle. There we go. That's not bad, right? There we are. So I now have the cinematic there. Now, the reason why I have a little extra time on each end is because I want to actually click our main camera, right? Because if we were to play this right as is, actually, I'm not going to do it just yet. Actually, let's just look at firing it off, right? Now, I'm going to use our NPC as a quick, little example here instead. I'm going to just disconnect here because ultimately, right, we'll use the something. No, I won't use the NPC. Do I have the... Oh, no, I'd have to enable everything. Yeah, I'm just going to use the NPC as a quick getaway to get it available to show you off a hand, right? Now, might be better. No. Yeah. No, I won't do it here. We're just going to... let's see here. Instead of doing that, I'm just going to go back to our hero really quickly. Pretty sure I left it all in there anyway, off of the begin play. Blueprints, BP hero. It's not the hero. Begin play right here. I'm just going to re-enable things. That way I don't have to do the quests. But for right now, what I can do is once this thing gets activated, right? Not the quest zone. This guy right here. Our puzzle torch, right? Fire. What I want to do is give this a variable called level sequence. Level or door or reveal door. Reveal door SQ for sequence, and then this is going to be of type level sequence. Right there. And we're going to make sure that this is not like instance editable because we have to set it there, right? Now, what we want to do is drag in a get version and promote that to a validated get. If that is, perfectly so, right? We then want to drag off of here. Now, what we want to do is we want to, I need to find my, wrong controls here. Second here. There we go. There we are. Off of this, what we need to do is create a level or a, level sequence player, right? That way we can drag off this return value here and say play. All right. That's all we need. Perfect. All right. So now if I were to compile and play, right? And I were to go up here, I was going to shoot our target. Oh. Let's see. Oh, right. Doop. You got to make sure that we select our level sequence. I didn't plug it in. There we go. Right, so I fire. There we go. Now, notice how fast that actually went from our player's camera to the other one, right? I'd like a little bit of transition. Now, you can add in fade tracks and things like that, right? So if we click over here, right, you could search for, like up here, right? We can look for fade. There's fade tracks, right? And you can fade in and out with a simple value here, right? I'll leave that there just in case. But the main thing is I want to come up here, click this guy, right click it and click on Can Blend. That's going to enable the little triangles on the end of these things right here, right? So see that right there? So if I drag this out now and then I come up here and drag, I don't want to drag that one. I want to get the... Don't hold anything. There we go. See the little triangle? If you can grab that, that's when you can drag it in, right? I'm going to give that a nice... let's see here. I want to grab that one and make it so that it's just at the part where the camera starts to move, right? And then if I grab that, getting it to the center or the beginning, right? Then I just keep playing until I get it where I want it. Ugh, no, undo, right? Make sure you're on the top there. There we go. Right, then you can see that it blends back to the player, right? The same can be also said for the back here, right? So if I grab that, then I just gotta make sure that I grab the orange triangle. There, I think I got it. Nope. I'll fix the ending in a minute. There we go. Right, something like that. There. That way, now if I were to go and play, right, and I go fire, it raises up, and then it's going to slowly but surely at least transition back to the player, right? That way it's not so jarring. Now, it was a little too fast there, so I'm going to grab my arrow, right? Then I'm gonna feel like I should go up to, I'm gonna do 850. There. And then put that just around there, right? That way, oh, I can then 8-second long or dungeon reveal. But mainly because I don't want the player to get too jarred as we kind of get our camera back, right? So then you see it moves back to the player, and then we're good there, right? You know, you could have obviously spend a little extra time probably starting, right, if you wanted, but that will at least give us the beginning of how we want to set up our the quest for our quest to get the dungeon reveal, right? And then also then transition, which we will look at on the next day.